Intermediate Graphic Design class. Welcome to the April 20th edition of Remote Instruction. The discussion post for the resume process check and the AP Tech process check is now available. Just so that there is no possibility of miscommunication, make sure that you block out from 5 to 7 p.m. on Monday, May 18th for our final exam, which is actually a final presentation. This gives you a rough idea what the final days of class will look like. Of course, we'll go into next week in more detail. There'll be an important WordPress process check. Well, I guess I better look inside of there. Oh, yeah, no, this is all next week, which again, we'll go in there. But then on May 4th, we're having a big deal, AP Tech. It's really like our last official process check on it. So I want to make sure that that is really a lot of effort put into that. And then on May 11th, we'll actually apply to the contest via Zoom. What'll happen is you'll fill out your part of the application online. You'll show it to me on Zoom. I'll authorize you to put my electronic signature on it. The confirmations come to you, so I'll have to screenshot those and individually email them to you. And then when you print out your final of the project, which will have to be fairly soon because there's only one week of class left at that point. You'll print that out. I think there's maybe a live signature of yours that's required on it, but either way, they need that in with the contest. At least that's how it was last year. I'll obviously double check all that before May 11th. And then May 18th is our final, and even if we were live on campus, we only meet from 5 to 7 p.m. So we will start at 5 p.m. to make sure that we have time to get everything put in during that 2-hour time slot that is allotted for final exams, which will be your presentation on the WordPress site. Tonight, April 20th, we will meet on Zoom. We will take a look at the resumes, give each other some feedback, do the same thing with the AP Tech contest, and then I'll hang out to see if there's any questions on WordPress. Now, on WordPress, it's extremely important that you are in it every week experimenting around. Don't save that for the last week because you will end up with a disaster on your hand, and it will, strongly affect your grade in the class because that is your final exam in the class. All right, so now let's switch gears and talk about what is due next week. Next week, April 27th, the resume is due for a project grade. Normally you would print that out, but since we're remote, the way that I will grade your project grade is by looking at your files. So you actually have two things due regarding the resume. You have it for a project grade, but then also the files. So it's possible that if you sent me the files incorrectly, but there was enough information there, you could end up with a grade for the project grade and a 0 for the files, and then still have the opportunity to redo them. Hopefully at this point in the semester, everybody gets this right, and I'll go over just a little bit more detail to how to make sure you get this right in conjunction with watching the videos. So here's how the turn-in will go. You will turn in your AI file per the Turnitin videos. So, in other words, you got to make sure that you have a version in there with outline text, and if there's any graphics in there that they are embedded, in other words, just follow the video. I should see 2 artboards in there. And it should be at actual size. The AI file should always be at actual size. Now remember, I never gave you a size requirement. So if you like the idea of doing it 8.5 by 11 and it had adequate room around it and it had a white background, then you could print it on 8.5 by 11 and deliver it as is. But if you wanted a more unusual look, you could certainly print it larger, trim it down, print it on 11 by 17 or 12 by 18, whatever you wanted to do there. If you wanted it so that you could print it on 11 by 8.5 paper and go full bleed, then obviously it would have to be a little bit smaller. But that's totally up to you. But what I'm emphasizing here is that this is whatever you come up with on that. Let's say it's 8 by 10, your final resume size. That's what size it should be in Illustrator, period. You turn that file in per the instructions. And then you go to work on the other two videos in the turn in files videos. And what you had that you turned in for the AI file, that would be your starting point for making the JPEG. Meaning that if it is 8 by 10, your JPEG should end up being the same exact ratio. And all of that is explained in the video, how to maintain that same exact ratio, holding down the shift key, placing it in that new web environment, and then either moving in the sides or the top and the bottom. So hopefully everybody gets that right. And if you do get it correct on the first try, you get 40 out of 40 points. Second turn in that's on time, 34 points. Third, 29. After that, 0. And if it's late, then you would still lose the the additional 4 or 8 points up to 2 classes late. All right, AP Tech. This is our special technique week. So there's not going to be an actual process check on the 27th, but I want you to have adequate time to experiment with special techniques. You've got to block out time to do this, and often, and the best way to do it is block out a little bit here and a little bit there, a little bit there, because you will get frustrated when you're trying something new, whether it's trying to cut a circular die cut with an X-Acto knife. Make sure the blade's sharp, but until you've done that sometimes a few hundred times, that's when you start to get good. Maybe a few hundred's exaggerating, but you get the idea. If you're trying to paint something with fingernail polish, you're not going to just sit down in 1 hour and become the expert on that. But take it seriously, because if you are wanting to work as a graphic designer, this is really what separates just the okay portfolios from a great portfolio. You would think, we do everything digitally, don't we? But no, you have to be able to comp up things for clients. You have to be able to get creative directors' attentions to want to hire you in the first place. So having special paper, folded stuff, embossed stuff, screen prints, that kind of stuff in your portfolio, as long as it's good design, you will get the attention that you're after to get hired. Then on May 4th, we will have a big deal video process check of the AP Tech project. So it'll be 100% finished, but ready for one last round of improvements. And it seems like there's always a little bit of at least a mental fight with community college students on this one. At the four-year universities, you're pretty much bringing in a full-blown comp every time for maybe like 3 sessions in a row that you go back to the drawing board and you do it again. But a lot of times community college students think, okay, I designed this along the way on the computer, I print it out, and then I'm done. But not when it comes to getting your portfolio ready, not when it comes to a 200 level class, and definitely not when it comes to entering a design contest. So really, you should be printing this out for this week, fully comping it. But as I said, I know, we're in this weird situation where you don't want to be running out every 5 minutes to the printer. So, but for May 4th, the expectation will be that it is a final done project, and then you will do it one more time before you mail it out right after the 11th. Okay, and then we're moving to an actual process check on the WordPress portfolio site. So watch the 4th and 5th videos on that same page, which is listed here. Have your site set up to look as much not like a blog anymore. If you get far enough along in the instructions to actually remove the blog, that's great. But main thing is I want you to start making it look like a portfolio page and start experimenting putting at least 3 images on the portfolio page. They could just be images that you shot with your camera just to get the experience for now. But ideally, get your portfolio stuff in there. All right, and just remember that the WordPress site is your final grade. I think I've said that 6 times in this video, but just reminding you that you got to put the work in that's necessary and do the experimenting. I make the videos. As soon as I make the videos, WordPress changes a little bit, both their interface, and I think you hear me mention it in the videos that was right at a time that I made them where there was still 2 ways to get at your site. As far as I can tell, I can still access mine the old way, but I'm not sure when you set up brand new themes if it'll be more like, what I'm showing you the transition is in the videos. But that's what Zoom is for, is that you try this stuff in between. We look at it on Zoom tonight, where we have still at least 3 full weeks before you have to have this finished. Like I said, if you wait till the last week, there's not going to be a whole lot of promise that I can give you that I'll be able to help you work it out. But if you let me know any issues tonight, I can look at them on Zoom, and then I can also research them on my own between now and next week, and we get everything taken care of by being ahead of the schedule. So look forward to talking with all of you at 5:30. See you then.